Get yourself all comfy. Since you're here, I might as well offer you a drink. How does tea sound? I'll just pour you some in case you want any. I'll set that right here. Okay. So, get all comfy under the blankets. Let me just light a little candle for you. And, I suppose it's time for a bedtime story. Okay. Let me just get this out. This story is one that's special and very personal to me. In fact, I wrote it myself. So, yeah. Feel free to get all comfy. You could even lay on my lap if you want. And I could gently brush your hair between chapters. Well, I suppose we're only covering one chapter today, but between sections. Chapter 1. The Tale of Aki, the Living Promise. In an unremarkable land, a place of little renown, where spirits lay between their world and our own, a land of autumn, where leaves are always falling, colors ever changing. A land of stories, of local gods and legends, where one day a new god can be made, and the next it could go away. Snuffed out, for the next to take its place. Life always flowing, always changing. My story follows one of those spirits. One of those so-called gods, one to be a god. Do note, when I say god, I don't mean an all-powerful being, but more of a local deity. Someone to bring good weather, good fortune, bless the locals, provide gifts and company, that sort of thing. This god, or a godling, I suppose, was born between a moth and a kitsune. The moth, a guardian of the flames, one noted in change, seeking the sun, molting, and finding better days. The moth symbolizing transformation and chasing the light, chasing your dreams. And the kitsune, a fox-like god, a trickster, but also a guardian of its shrine, of its people. Their powers growing with age, growing more tails as they mature. Someone who wants to protect those he holds close, and anyone he lets in his life. Wanting to love and cherish all of them, and protecting those who seek him out. The child of these two is a little guy named Aki, a child of autumn, one whose place in life is not the same of his family, a child that must find its own path, and this is that story. So, with only a single tale of wisdom, Aki sets out to find a shrine of his own, a place to call home. His ivory fur in the wind, swirls of a red auburn, making patterns upon it. His wings draped on his arms, almost like a kimono, flapping in the wind. And his nice little fluffy neck fluff, which is very, very fluffy, fluff, 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 and full of moss dust, and full of moth dust and fluff, fluff. And so, little Aki set out on a journey. His first tale. He tried to follow the footsteps of all those around him, knowing he's a bit different, but wanting to fit in anyway. Going to little fox school and learning all those foxy things. And at first, excelling even. Exceeding the expectations placed upon him. For a time at least. But soon, little old Aki hit a wall. He wasn't fitting in or excelling anymore. And so, resigning to just get into it, he shed his wings, using magic to blend in with the rest of the crowd, forcing himself to exist, tolerate it, fit in best he could, even if it means shedding what makes him him. And well, he did push through it. He learned the skills any fox would need. Those of foraging, basic control of his powers, stuff like manipulating the weather or bringing a good harvest, minor illusions, that sort of thing. And, yeah, as most kitsune spirits would. But it did feel off. But some foxes did appreciate him, his differences, despite that, and joined him, his merry little band. But despite this little band of friends, he knew this wasn't his home. This wasn't where his shrine would lay. And if he continued to exist here in this world that the other foxes existed in, if he continued to deny his wings, his flame, his spark of originality, what makes him him, he just couldn't be happy. So, once he got out of it, once he graduated from Little Fox School, he left, leaving that world behind entirely, outside of a few friends he kept as company, and maturing. A second tail appearing upon his cute little butt. Now, on Aki's second tail, he set out once more, tired of just being a fox, and shedding his fur, embracing his moth side, his antennae growing larger, his wings spread wider than before, and his tail's morphing into little wings as well, draped from his tailbone, fluttering in the crisp autumn wind. His wings of freedom, letting him fly free, were much like Icarus. Freedom with no guidance, strewn with naivety, may get you singed. For not so little Aki flew too close to the fire, the sun, the flames scorching him a bit too much. And this is how Aki, well, he did find pieces of a home within the moths, blending in and flying free, expressing himself in the aspects he kept under wrap far too long, and enjoying it. But with a tinge of emptiness, something was missing, something he couldn't quite figure out. So, instead of searching, he indulged more and more, shedding more of his fox side, trying to fill it more with this more queer side of him, this moth-like nature, the thing that made him different from so long, finally finding a place that it fits in, but at the cost of his other side, the rest of him. And he started flying higher and higher, following the moths further than he should. For Aki isn't a moth. He's not the same as them either. as wonderful as freedom is, his home is not his. Rocky is himself, and he is unique. And will soon learn that while all these aspects can be amazing, wonderful, and joyous, and there's lots of good to be found here, with some of the best friends you'll meet, you'll also learn that in that light, there's a shadow, one that casts over him. That emptiness almost being weaponized by some, taken advantage of, because not everyone's good. And some moths didn't want Hockey to be himself, but rather the moth that they want him to be, molding him into something he's not, taking advantage of that missing piece, and just pulling, breaking him bit by bit, without even noticing that Aki's wings were getting torn apart. So, one day, Aki fell, seeking that light, but no longer able to fly up high, torn by pretending he is what he isn't, even if some of him is. And while a few moths might have swooped down to patch him up, the majority didn't even look back, flying away, leaving him in the dirt to mend himself, pick up the torn bits of his wings, and slink back into the woods. The autumn leaves crunching under his paws as a reminder of the ground he left behind. Adored by the light, staring at lanterns for hours, Aki knew that he loved the sky, but that wasn't all he was. Even if he wants to fly free, even if he wants light in his life. And he'll get that, but he did learn that there's also the dark side that he can't ignore either. And that within each light, there is a shadow, and there can be darkness. And you have to be careful of that. Careful of those wanting to make you into someone you're not. Feeding on that doubt, that insecurity. So, both warmed and wounded by the light he sought so much, he grew one more tail and kept searching for a place to build his shrine. Oh, I'm doing so well. Let me give you some pets. Wait. Yes. On his third tail, Aki decided to try something different, a new approach to this. All of his attempts so far have led to trying to find his shrine within the shrines of others. So, he took the lessons he learned, the friends he made, and started building his own shrine. When he first started, he went and gathered all the wood that he could, hastily making a rough foundation, almost ready to open his shrine to hundreds of new people. But in the rush of it all, he scattered the moth dust all over. His magic sparked embers, and soon those embers turned to flame, scorching the wood he so desperately laid down, burning it all down to the ground, try as he may to extinguish it. Soon his attempt was led to ashes, just revealing how shoddy and fragile that rushed attempt was. But disheartened, sure, but not done, Aki decided to try one more time. This time, mixing the ashes of his failure into the soil as fertilizer, planting a seed to form the foundation. He decided to plant a tree, one that would grow large and strong, one day bearing fruit, and patiently waiting. Soon it grew. The tree now young, but already branching out. The small branches taking place, connecting with others, and forming the start of a home he can be proud of. And while it's not much, the tree did bear some fruit, which brought people in. Some good, a few bad, but people who would come to him and enjoy his presence, enjoy the fruit of his labor. And so, with that community, Aki decided to call this tree his new shrine. Excited for the fruits the future will bear. Eager to face the struggles from the harvest yet to come. 3 tails in total, and a pair of wings flapping under his arms. The eyes upon them, watching over all that he sought to protect. Aki has found a home, even if it's small, imperfect. It's a place to mature and live, a place to build, and a new hope, and a hopeful future for little old Aki, who's no longer so little. And that concludes today's reading. Now, for a lot of you, this might be a new story. But for some, you may already be familiar with it. Because, well, you may see me as Niko. Aki is also, in a way, me. And when I say me, we're getting a little meta, breaking that fourth wall just a tad. I don't mean Niko. I mean myself. So, Aki is as you heard in the story, a 3-tailed kitsune moth hybrid that I created last September after having a horrible anxiety attack at a local furry convention. Which, the convention was fun. It was supposed to be great at least, but on the second day, I got rather unlucky. All my plans fell through. My friends had to leave. And, yeah, I kinda collapsed. Panicked, cried, ran away. Cried by myself in my car for 2-3 hours. And during that time, I just wanted to not go through it again. Because that wasn't the first time that's happened. Not even close. Because the story of Aki is very much the story of my life. Of my hardships and trying to find a place to belong. And, yeah. In Aki's design even, there's a lot of symbolism to represent that. As during that anxiety attack on that day, I made a plan to create a living promise. Aki. You see, Aki, the reason he's such a weird hybrid, outside of it just being a cool design, is a moth symbolizes transformation and growth. As a promise to myself to grow and better, to go through a metamorphosis and seek the light as it is. See, as moths love the light, I also seek a light, a better tomorrow, and I want to change and grow, overcoming these anxieties and spreading my wings to fly free. And the kitsune side, showing the tales of growth, the 3 tails showing how far I've come, but also the long journey ahead, because I'm still young. I still have so much to learn. But also the kitsune representing the guardian spirit side, protecting the people they hold dear as I want to myself. Being a bit of a dependable, but also silly goofball, a trickster, playing pranks, being silly and having fun, just like the kids today of Legend have done, because that's who I see myself as, and that's who I want to be. Having wings to blanket over my friends in a time of need. The eyes watching over them, and also watching my own back as they help protect me, symbolizing how I watch over my friends, but how they also take care of me. The ears floppy because young foxes have that too. Plus it's just really cute. And the wings are styled under the arms to kind of emulate a kimono, which is festival wear in Japan, also often worn at shrines, which is just fun, and I thought it would be a good way to tie in the folklore and the culture. And well, there's a bit more to it, so I don't want to waste your time too much. So, I'm sure you're here for Niko regardless, to pet your pretty head. Use my goopy paws to protect you and keep you safe. But there's more to me than just Niko, even if I am Niko, and I am Aki. But yeah, for now, I hope you can sleep well on my lap, almost soak into my goopy fur. Allow it to caress you, because you deserve the rest. You deserve a blissful night, or day, or afternoon. And if it's not rest you seek, you just deserve the comfort. Allow my warmth as you sink into me to be almost like a fire in the cold. A safe point almost. A place to hold comfy to you, to belong, and to come back to should you need it. And remember, the story is one of learning to be yourself, learning to go through struggles and to persevere despite that, wanting to grow and change and improve and better yourself at the end of the day despite the challenges. And I hope you can take bits of Aki too. Maybe not all of you need them, and maybe not all of the things I said work, but should this message find you, I hope it finds you in good faith, and I hope it proves useful. And if not useful, maybe just a bit inspiring. Maybe you need to make Aki of your own, and maybe not. Maybe you need to find your own shrine. And maybe you've already found it. Whatever the case. We're all special. And we're all unique. And we all belong here. And I'm glad you joined me for this. So. Sleep well. You sweet thing. And just finally, let my goo wrap around you one more time. I know that you might not hear it, but it's there. Absorbing your fears, absorbing your stress. Its warmth leaving you bare. Freeing you of all those fears. Just giving you warmth. Gentle warmth and gentle comfort.